We had GM, you have Ford out here raising how much they plan to spend on EVs over the next 5 to 6 years, billions of dollars more in terms of batteries versus their prior estimates. Are you concerned about this level or this wave of competition about to rain down on the industry?
There is plenty of room to thrive for all of us. I don't see this as competition at all. But ultimately, it's the technology that's going to win. And what's missing here is the recognition that this is a technology race. And right now, there is one runner in that tech race, and it's Tesla. That's why Tesla commands that market cap. That's why it's in that preeminent position. We have world-class technology, and we aim to make this a two-horse race.
Hey, I'm Stephen, and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So a moment of brutal honesty there from Lucid Motors CEO Peter Rawlinson admitting that Tesla literally has no competition, and ideally, aspirationally, at some point in the future, Lucid would like to become the other competitor in the one-horse race. I have to give credit to Peter Rawlinson here. Most of the other CEOs of most of the other automotive companies attempting to compete with Tesla at some point in the future are unwilling to even utter the name Tesla. Now, why would that be? I suspect that they have great concerns that if they even mention the term Tesla, some of their brand loyal customers will investigate this name that they've just heard about for the very first time and realize that Tesla destroys everything on offer from these other companies, and suddenly GM, Ford, pick your name, has lost a customer to Tesla because the customer did some homework and realized that if they want a compelling vehicle, Tesla is the only current option. So with that said, let's get into the video and see what Peter Rawlinson has in terms of an update on Lucid's progress towards reaching production. Spoiler alert, it's going to be very difficult. I do wish them all the best. And some new details about reservation numbers and more. And by the way, since I know there's a lot of crypto lovers watching and people who like free stuff, it's your lucky day. For a limited time, you can get up to $250 in free crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, where you can use cryptocurrency to earn interest, borrow cash, and buy or sell crypto. If you want your free crypto, use the link in the description. It also helps out the channel. And if you'd like up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. Unless you don't like free stocks, that is. And if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake, also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it.
Lucid Motors is speeding right into the start of production for its luxury electric vehicles. So far, Lucid says it has more than 10,000 orders for its EVs. Let's dive into the company with Lucid Motors CEO Peter Rawlinson, who is coming to us from inside a new Lucid studio in New York City. Yahoo Finance senior auto reporter Pras Subramanian is here as well. Peter, good to see you again here. So the reservations, there's been a lot of confusion, I would say, in the EV industry on what quantifies as a reservation. How do you quantify it, and where do you think these orders are coming from? Are these orders or reservations, do you think they would have been for Teslas otherwise?
Well, our reservations have just exceeded 10,000. They're bona fide reservations with appropriate deposits. Some people have even paid over $7,000 deposit. The reservations are coming from all sectors. There isn't really such a thing as a market for EVs. There's a market for cars. And with great EVs like the Lucid Air that we're launching this year, we're going to get more penetration into the internal combustion engine market, more EVs taking the place of gasoline burners, and that's great for the planet.
So some very positive signs there. Lucid claiming to have 10,000 plus reservations from apparently serious and interested buyers who are actually putting down real money in terms of a deposit. Shout out to Trevor Meltdown Milton of Nikola Motor Corporation. Shout out to Fraudstown Motors as well with their so-called reservation. So these seem legitimate, and they also don't seem too ridiculous. 10,000 is a pretty reasonable number. That number, just to give you guys some context, is less than 1% of the apparent number of reservations for the Cybertruck based on the public Cybertruck reservation tracker. So we're still talking about a tiny speck when compared to Tesla, but this is a good sign. Lucid aren't out there touting stupid numbers. They aren't out there paying people to make reservations. They aren't targeting fleet buyers, and they are requiring people to put down actual money when making a reservation. The big challenge from here is actually being able to produce these vehicles.
Hey Peter, Pras here. So I had a chance to drive or have a ride in that Lucid Air.
Now, just quickly, notice the correction there. I got to ride in the Lucid. Now, as far as I'm aware, please let me know in the comments below if anybody's seen proof to the contrary. No one has actually been able to drive any of the Lucid prototypes yet. Some people have been able to sit in them, and a few people have actually been driven around in the prototypes. But as far as I know, no one has actually been able to drive one themselves. This is curious to me. Now, I'm not going to read into the tea leaves too much here. I understand Lucid are being very cautious. You don't want a big accident. You don't want bad press. I totally get that. But it does seem a little bit strange that even the likes of Jay Leno haven't been able to get in one of these vehicles and actually drive it. The skeptic in me wonders, are there a few issues they're aware of? They don't want anybody to push the car to its limits, etc., because they might discover there's some problems. Now, again, I'm not making accusations here, but it just seems a little bit curious. Given the fact that Lucid are due to start production on their vehicles very soon, it does make me wonder, are there some potential kinks to iron out that they haven't quite made public that they're still concerned about, and therefore they don't want anybody actually driving the vehicle just in case? I don't know for sure. I'm not making accusations. I'm just thinking out loud. But hey, it could be worse. Their prototypes could be pushers. Shout out once again to my good friend Trevor Milton.
So I had a chance to drive or have a ride in that Lucid Air, the Grand Touring Edition. Very impressive production quality. I know these are pre-production builds. Very smooth ride as well. But I was curious, have you even seen these orders, reservations kind of accelerating recently as you guys have picked up steam and opened up more of these showrooms?
Indeed. This is the 8th studio we've just opened here in New York City. We're opening this weekend here in the Meatpacking District, our new flagship studio. So come along and check out for yourself. And seeing is very much believing, press. As you experience the ride in the car, then people start to take us much more seriously. And we're seeing the order book accelerate as a consequence of that.
You know, you're also kind of pulling forward some planned capital expenditures. Is this because you want to increase capacity, or is it for newer models, or any kind of just work on the new Casa Grande factory?
We want to accelerate our growth as a company to impact the world beneficially. The world needs to accelerate its transition to sustainable mobility. And we've recently announced an expansion, bringing forward of capital, an expansion of our plant by 2.7 million square feet. Also, we're putting in a second line for Gravity, Project Gravity. So we're really safeguarding the future of the company. We're future-proofing it. We're mitigating risk. And we're planning for a very, very expensive future.
Peter, it's Julie here. Speaking of acceleration, let's talk timeline for all of those people who have put in their orders to get their cars. What is it looking like? I know you have been talking about the second half of the year. The second half is a long time, a long range of time. Do you have any more specificity as to when people will start receiving cars? And I'm curious if you all are being affected at all by the chip shortage that has been plaguing the car industry.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So we've promised deliveries in the second half of the year. We're on track for that. And we had really a red letter day just last Friday, the 18th of June, where we started our quality validation fleet build. These are the cars. These are production cars which we've started building, which will gradually, when the quality is right, we will determine at a level where we can actually sell to a customer.
So a fairly non-committal response there from Peter Rawlinson, unwilling to specify in any more detail other than sometime in this half of the year, ideally. Now, Lucid are fast approaching the point where the rubber hits the road. Get it? Because cars and road, and that was pretty bad. Here's the thing, as we've heard from Elon Musk many times, prototypes are easy, production is hard. As far as I'm aware, Lucid is targeting production of around 500, maybe 600 electric vehicles for the entirety of 2021, so very low volume. Even if their manufacturing systems aren't really up and running efficiently, they could practically hand assemble these cars. It's not going to be an issue. Where things really get interesting is 2022 and beyond. Originally, Lucid were targeting 20,000 plus vehicles produced in 2022, but in recent interviews, Rawlinson has been unwilling to restate that figure. My suggestion, my impression there, is that Lucid have some serious concerns about actually ramping to production, which isn't a surprise. I urge everyone watching this video, especially if you're a Tesla investor or you're curious about other electric vehicle companies out there, pay very close attention. I'll continue to cover this company, Lucid, and see how things go. But pay super close attention how seamlessly they're able to ramp production, or alternatively, how difficult it actually turns out to be. Lucid are going to give you some early insight into other companies attempting to ramp their own electric vehicles. I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot harder than most people, including the CEOs of these very companies, actually realize.
You also asked about the chip shortage. We've actually bought ahead to mitigate risk. And we're pretty good for this year's production run, actually.
Obviously, they're only making a few hundred cars at best.
I think that there are one or two chips that are causing us some issues, specifically one in our battery monitoring system. And we're mitigating that risk by looking at alternative sourcing and alternative design of the printed circuit board to suit an alternative chip if that should indeed be necessary. So far, I'm pretty confident the engineering and procurement teams have got this covered.
I've got to give some credit again to Peter Rawlinson here. He's being honest. He's pointing out that there is a bit of an issue here. He's pointing out what the issue is and how Lucid are trying to resolve it. The last thing you want to see, the last thing you want to hear from a CEO of an electric vehicle startup approaching production, if they're having an issue behind the scenes, the last thing you want to hear is, oh, yep, no problems here. Everything's fine. Everything's totally fine. This is fine.
Peter, I've seen a range of different valuations on Lucid, maybe at the low end, 33 billion, all the way up to 57 billion.
What the can someone explain in the comments? Maybe I've missed something here. Where the are these numbers coming from? What is this dude talking about? I don't understand. As I record this, Lucid's worth $7 billion or so, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, getting so much more credit than they deserve at this point in time. But even so, can someone please explain, what planet is this guy on?
Up to 57 billion. How concerned are you that the market is just...
Even Lucid's CEO couldn't contain his laughter at those stupid, ridiculous numbers. Come on, Brian, you've got to do better than that, mate.
Just too optimistic on your company, given how many vehicles you might produce this year.
All right, guys, now I need some help here. Please let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Pay very close attention to Peter's eyes in his response here. It almost looks as if he's reading off a screen and quoting something that's already been pre-written rather than speaking from the heart.
Look, my focus is long-term, on a 10-year plan. Our real value proposition is the technology that we bring to bear. World-class technology which can have a transformative impact upon mankind's transition to sustainable mobility.
Am I imagining things, or was he reading off a prompter there? Now, nothing wrong with that, I guess, having a pre-prepared statement, don't want to make any mistakes, I kind of understand that. But personally, I would much prefer a CEO who's just responding based on the question rather than having a bunch of canned responses already pre-written. Maybe I'm reading into the tea leaves too much here, but I don't know, it just feels disingenuous to me. That being said, I am on the same page as the actual content of the statement, pre-prepared or otherwise. Peter very clear that Lucid have a 10-year plan and they don't really care about what's happening in the short or medium term. This is a great perspective.
That real value will manifest itself in the long term. I think there's a near-term myopia here, and I'm not going to get drawn into that.
Hey, Peter, one more from Pras here. So I was curious about the showroom itself. I was there this week. It's very design-centric. What is the purpose of it exactly? Is it more of a consumer-facing, get to know the brand, or do you plan on actually selling cars there, or maybe even partnering with another firm to actually have showrooms where you can actually sell these cars in a franchise location?
It's very much, exploring and catalyzing the voyage of discovery for many people who are completely oblivious to our brand. The first exposure they may have is just walking past here in the meatpacking district and taking a look. And then they go on this voyage of discovery. They're very welcome, this engaging studio, a boutique style atmosphere with the design sensibility to match the car. Very much on brand, very much California, mid-century modern inspired design architecture. And many of the exhibits we have here are the technology exhibits. People are very welcome to come. This is not a high-pressure sales environment. Actually, in New York, we're not allowed to sell a car. So this is very much a voyage of discovery. Come in, engage with our staff. Learn about the car, learn about the technology, learn how awesome the car is in a non-pressurized environment. This is a voyage of discovery which this building will catalyze.
Peter, I feel wealthier just looking at the photos of that studio, but I do want to ask you before we let you go here. We last talked to you in February, and since then, we had GM, you have Ford out here raising how much they plan to spend on EVs over the next 5 to 6 years, billions of dollars more in terms of batteries versus their prior estimates. Are you concerned about this level or this wave of competition about to rain down on the industry?
No, I was just going to say, isn't it great? Hats off to Ford for F-150 Lightning, great product. Hats off to team at GM for Ultium battery technology, pushing that huge commitment they're making. It means more EVs. There is plenty of room to thrive for all of us. I don't see this as competition at all. But ultimately, it's the technology that's going to win. And what's missing here is the recognition that this is a technology race. And right now, there is one runner in that tech race, and it's Tesla. That's why Tesla commands that market cap. That's why it's in that preeminent position. We have world-class technology, and we aim to make this a two-horse race.
Major credit to Peter Rawlinson here. This is a moment of honesty. It is greatly appreciated. The fact that Peter points out that Ford and GM aren't competition, and in fact there isn't anyone even competing with Tesla today, literally saying that Tesla is the only runner in the race, even admitting that Lucid at this point aren't competing with Tesla, but they'd like to enter the race and be the second runner in the race eventually, is a really great sign. If you hear a CEO of any automotive company who has electric vehicles who fails to recognize that Tesla is dominating and fails to openly admit that they're attempting to either catch up with or run alongside Tesla in the future, if they fail to mention the name Tesla, you know you have a major problem. Either they're an absolute fucking moron and don't even recognize Tesla's unassailable lead, or worse, they're so concerned about the subpar quality of their own electric vehicle technology, they're scared to even mention the name Tesla for fear of losing customers who do some homework after hearing the name Tesla. This may actually, in fact, be one of the more bullish indicators of companies that may potentially succeed in the long run if they're willing to admit and mention they're trying to catch up with Tesla. Volkswagen is another example of this. Herbert Diess has been getting a lot of heat from people within the Volkswagen organization because he openly admits that Tesla is the leader in this space and they're trying to catch up with them eventually. So to reiterate, if there's a company that produces or plans to produce electric vehicles and they fail to admit and recognize that Tesla is the leader in this space and that they're attempting to catch up with Tesla, it's a huge red flag. But of course, it could be even worse than that. Once again, I take the opportunity to lay a cable on the face of my favorite con artist of the 2020s, Trevor Meltdown Milton. There's red flags, and then there's red f***ing flags.
There's a lot of good about what Tesla's done in the past to teach people that that electric vehicles can work. But Nikola is the pioneer in heavy duty trucking, and Tesla's just following in our footsteps. And a lot of them are really believe that Elon is like this great person that can do anything. And it's when they see someone else being able to actually beat him at what he's doing, they hate that. It's so look, we're not getting into the cars. We do trucks, we do huge semi trucks all the way down to medium duty trucks for business like the Badger, the stuff. We only focus on markets that actually create revenue in any economy. And so it is a huge picture. There's no doubt. There's very few people that can out Elon in this world, and I'm one of them. I have no problem with him. I think what he's done is awesome, but there's it's kind of hard when for his followers to see someone that can actually build something bigger or more competitive than what he has. So that's why we get a lot of that hate sometimes.
What an absolute twat. And with that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like I mentioned, I do wish Lucid all the best. I hope that they can succeed in reaching volume production. I'm sure they're going to make their absolute best effort, but I suspect it's going to take a lot longer and require a lot more capital than they originally envisioned. That being said, the good thing they're sucking from the teat of the Saudi wealth fund because they've practically got unlimited potential capital to get to volume production. I'd love you guys to make a prediction in the comments below. How many vehicles would Lucid produce in the second half of 2021? I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget, if you'd like up to $250 in free crypto bonuses with BlockFi, use the link in the description. You can also get 2 free stocks with WeBull and a free stock with Stake, also linked in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.